The woman had been given 6 weeks to live when she wrote to Steve Harvey with one final wish. What he did next proved that miracles still happen, and that sometimes the most impossible dreams come true in the most unexpected ways. It was September 2018, and among the hundreds of letters that arrived at the Steve Harvey Show each week, one handwritten note stood out. The envelope was addressed in shaky handwriting, and when producer Janet Miller opened it, she knew immediately this wasn't a typical fan letter. "Dear Mr. Harvey," it began, "my name is Rebecca Martinez, and I'm writing to you from my hospital bed in San Antonio, Texas. I'm 42 years old, and I've been fighting ovarian cancer for 3 years. Last week, my doctors told me that the cancer has spread to my liver and lungs, and they estimate I have about 6 weeks left to live." Janet felt her heart sink as she continued reading. "I'm a single mother to 2 beautiful children, Sophia, who is 16, and Miguel, who is 13. I've been their whole world since their father left when Miguel was just 2 years old. I know they're going to be okay because my sister Carmen has agreed to raise them, but I have one dream that I've never told anyone about because it seemed so impossible." The letter went on to explain Rebecca's dream. Since she was a little girl growing up in poverty in East San Antonio, Rebecca had dreamed of taking her children to Disney World. She had worked multiple jobs her entire adult life, cleaning houses during the day, working at a diner at night, just to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. "I've been saving money in a coffee can for 8 years to take Sophia and Miguel to Disney World," Rebecca wrote. "But every time I got close to having enough saved, something would happen. Miguel needed surgery when he broke his arm. Sophia needed a laptop for school. The car broke down. The medical bills from my cancer treatment wiped out everything I had left. Mr. Harvey, I know this is a crazy request, but my one wish before I die is to see my children experience the magic of Disney World. I want to see Sophia's face light up when she meets the Disney princesses, even though she pretends she's too old for that stuff. I want to see Miguel go on Space Mountain and feel brave and free for once in his life. I want to give them one perfect week where they're not worried about bills or cancer or losing their mom." Janet had to stop reading because she was crying. She walked directly to Steve's office. "Steve," she said, wiping her eyes, "you need to read this letter right now." Steve looked up from his script review. When he saw Janet's expression, he immediately gave her his full attention. "What is it?" Janet handed him Rebecca's letter. Steve read it silently, and Janet watched his expression change from curiosity to heartbreak to determination. When he finished reading, Steve was quiet for a long moment. "How much time did she say she has left?" 6 weeks, Janet said. "Maybe less." Steve stood up and walked to the window of his office, looking out at the Chicago skyline. "Janet, get me her phone number. I need to talk to this woman today." "Steve, her letter was written 2 weeks ago." "What if—" "Then we call the hospital. We call her sister. We find her, Janet. Today." Within an hour, Janet had tracked down Rebecca's sister Carmen, who gave them Rebecca's cell phone number. Rebecca was back home from the hospital, spending what doctors expected to be her final weeks in the comfort of her own bedroom. When Steve called her that afternoon, Rebecca couldn't believe it was really him. "Mrs. Martinez, this is Steve Harvey. I got your letter, and I want to talk to you about your dream." Rebecca started crying. "Mr. Harvey, is this really you?" "It's really me, Rebecca, and I want you to know that your dream is going to come true." "But Mr. Harvey, I don't have any money. I can barely pay for my pain medication." "Rebecca, you don't worry about money. You worry about getting strong enough to travel. Can you do that for me?" "I think so. My doctor said I might have a few good days left." "That's all we need. Rebecca, I'm going to arrange for you and your children to go to Disney World. But I'm also going to do something else. I'm going to bring my camera crew with you, because I want the world to see what real courage looks like." Over the next week, Steve's team worked around the clock to arrange everything. They contacted Disney World, which immediately offered to provide a VIP experience for Rebecca and her children. They arranged for a private jet to take the family to Florida, medical staff to accompany them, and a luxury resort near the park. But Steve wanted to do more than just fulfill Rebecca's wish. He wanted to honor her courage and her love for her children. "Janet," Steve said, "I want Rebecca to be a guest on the show before she goes to Disney World. I want people to meet this incredible woman." "Steve, she's very weak. Are you sure she can handle being on television?" "We'll make it work. We'll bring the show to her if we have to." 2 days later, Steve Harvey surprised Rebecca by showing up at her house in San Antonio with a small crew and a mobile setup. Rebecca was in her bedroom, too weak to get up, but she was alert and excited. "Rebecca," Steve said, sitting beside her bed, "I want the world to meet you. Are you ready to tell your story?" With her children Sophia and Miguel beside her, Rebecca shared her story on camera. She talked about her diagnosis, about working multiple jobs while going through chemotherapy, about her fear of leaving her children, and about her one impossible dream. "Mr. Harvey," Rebecca said, her voice weak but determined, "I never thought anyone would care about my little dream. I felt invisible my whole life. Poor people like me don't usually get fairy tale endings." "Rebecca," Steve said, "you are not invisible. You are one of the strongest women I've ever met. You've raised 2 incredible children while fighting cancer and working multiple jobs. You've never given up hope. That's not invisible. That's heroic." He turned to Sophia and Miguel. "Do you know how lucky you are to have a mother like this?" Sophia, trying to be strong, nodded. "She's the best mom in the world. She always made sure we had what we needed, even when she was sick." Miguel, younger and more emotional, climbed onto the bed next to his mother. "I don't want her to go to heaven," he said simply. Steve felt his throat tighten. "Miguel, your mom is going to be with you forever. Every time you're brave, every time you're kind, every time you work hard for something you want, that's your mom living in your heart." The next day, Rebecca surprised everyone, including her doctors, by finding the strength to travel. The steroids and pain medication had given her a window of relatively good energy, and she was determined not to waste it. The Disney World trip was everything Rebecca had dreamed of, and more. Disney had arranged for a VIP tour guide, front-of-the-line access to all attractions, and special meet-and-greets with characters. Steve's cameras captured every moment. Rebecca in a wheelchair, laughing as Miguel screamed with joy on Space Mountain. Sophia, who had claimed she was too old for princesses, crying happy tears when she met Belle from Beauty and the Beast. The family eating ice cream together and watching the fireworks over Cinderella Castle. But the most powerful moment came on their last night at Disney World. Rebecca had insisted on staying for the fireworks show, even though she was exhausted and in pain. As the fireworks exploded overhead, Rebecca looked at her children. "This is the most perfect week of my entire life," she whispered to Steve, who was sitting beside her. "Thank you for giving me this gift." "Rebecca," Steve said, "you gave me a gift too. You reminded me why I do this work." The family returned to San Antonio, and Rebecca surprised everyone again. Instead of declining rapidly, as doctors had predicted, she seemed to gain strength from the joy of the trip. She lived for another 3 months, 3 precious months, during which Sophia and Miguel could process their grief and prepare for their future. During those extra months, Rebecca started a blog about living with terminal cancer and finding joy in small moments. The Disney World episode had made her a minor internet celebrity, and her blog posts about gratitude, courage, and loving fully in the face of loss touched thousands of people. "People keep telling me I'm brave," Rebecca wrote in one of her final posts, "but I don't feel brave. I feel grateful. Grateful that Steve Harvey saw my letter and decided my dream mattered. Grateful that my children got to see their mom happy and hopeful, instead of just sick and scared. Grateful that our story might inspire other families to hold on to hope." Rebecca passed away peacefully at home in January 2019, with Sophia and Miguel holding her hands. At her funeral, Steve spoke about the woman who had taught him that sometimes the smallest dreams require the biggest hearts. "Rebecca Martinez never asked for much," Steve said. "She didn't ask to be famous or rich or powerful. She asked for 1 week of magic with her children. But in that 1 week, she gave us all a masterclass in what love really looks like." Disney World created a permanent memorial garden in Rebecca's honor with a plaque that reads, "For Rebecca Martinez, a mother who proved that love makes even impossible dreams come true." Sophia and Miguel, now living with their Aunt Carmen, returned to Disney World every year on the anniversary of their trip with their mother. Carmen said it was important for them to remember, not just that their mother had died, but that she had lived fully, joyfully, and with incredible courage. The Rebecca Martinez episode became one of the most watched in Steve Harvey Show history, not because of its production value or celebrity guests, but because it reminded viewers that real magic happens when we stop focusing on what we can't do and start focusing on what we can do for each other. Steve kept Rebecca's original letter framed in his office as a reminder that sometimes the most important phone calls you'll ever make are the ones that help someone else's dream come true. And every year on Rebecca's birthday, Sophia and Miguel received a care package from Steve Harvey with a note that always ended the same way. "Your mother's love lives on in your courage. Make her proud." If this incredible story of a mother's love and the power of making dreams come true moved you, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that no act of kindness is ever too small, and that sometimes the most meaningful gifts we can give don't cost money, they cost caring. Have you ever helped someone achieve a dream they thought was impossible? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more amazing stories about the extraordinary power of ordinary compassion.